Thank you very much, sir, for being here this morning. Your reaction to the way Democrats and the media are melting down. They've been after this guy, the administration, since minute one. Now the truth comes out, the case changes, and they're outraged.
Yeah, good morning. Good to be with you. And what you just heard sounds like some of the talking points straight out of the Joe Biden campaign. Because, look, Joe Biden does not want to talk about this story. He was the vice president of the United States when you had the Justice Department and the FBI going after a candidate for president, Donald Trump. The facts have come out more and more. We're seeing things that should disgust every American about how you had these very respected agencies. There were dirty cops inside those agencies who, and we've seen emails about this, they didn't want Donald Trump to win the candidacy, his candidacy for president. You shouldn't have powerful people in positions of law enforcement that are using their position to go and try to stop a candidate for president of the United States that they disagree with. They fixed the whole jury against Flynn. I mean, he was set up as bad as anybody I've ever seen. I'm glad that the charges were dropped. He's been exonerated, but they want to try to cover up the fact that however high this went, when they reference, people like Strzok referenced the 7th floor in some of these documents, that means the top brass at the time over at the FBI, possibly Justice, possibly even the White House, knew about this. When's Barack Obama going to answer for it? And when is Joe Biden going to answer for his role in all this?
That's a great point, Congressman. The first voice you heard from there was Obama's acting Solicitor General Neil Cattell. But I want to ask you this. It's clear a narrative is emerging, which is to put the onus on Attorney General Barr. But as we saw from this past week, there was zero, not a single bit of evidence of Russian collusion from all of the people looking into it, the 57 people interviewed, which is a problem for Adam Schiff, the chairman of the Intel Committee. Will we see him held accountable for the fact that he told us he had direct evidence?
Well, he's made so many statements that have been proven factually inaccurate. And go back to some of the testimony that he himself included in the record after he gave that fake narrative about the Ukrainian call, the thing that never happened. He said to try to shift the narrative. He did a number of other things, but he included in testimony some of the actual Russian propaganda that we're trying to stop. You know, we talk about stopping Russian interference in our elections. Adam Schiff read some of that Russian interference that we now all know about into the record. And by the way, that Russian interference happened when Barack Obama was president and Joe Biden was vice president. They tried to interfere with our elections. Thank goodness Donald Trump is fighting to stop that from happening again. But in the meantime, everything that's come out has made it crystal clear that General Flynn was set up. They literally went in trying to get him fired or prosecuted. We know what Comey was trying to do to Donald Trump and entrapping him. Thank goodness Barr is out there making sure that justice is served, because if somebody is trying to be set up by the federal government, of all people, we should all be outraged by that. And the fact that some of them are still around, they need to be held accountable. People need to go to jail that abuse their power, and I think that's still going to happen.
Congressman, I wanted to get your perspective on something specific. So you just mentioned that AG Barr was trying to achieve justice. And you heard in that montage, someone in the media on CNN said, this is an injustice. However, at its heart, what happened was that people in power took corrective action to restore freedom to an individual that was unjustly prosecuted. So my question to you is, what is it like being a lawmaker in this country with a media that pushes false narratives against everything that this country stands for and that Americans should be behind, which is due process and affording us our liberties?
Right, and this is a case where the far-left mainstream media is so out of touch with the rest of America. Americans believe in justice. We see stories every now and then where evidence comes out about somebody that's in prison because of a crime that they were accused of they didn't commit, and they get released. And that's something that we all applaud. And yet here you've got a case that just because he was appointed by Donald Trump and somebody serving this country with honor, and then the federal government decided to go after him because he was going to be the advisor to the president, that it's okay to target him and to deny him justice. Where is this double standard coming from? I think the media has been exposed once again. And oh, by the way, you know, some of them were part of putting out that false information over and over again, and they never seem to go correct themselves when facts come out and show that someone like Flynn was not guilty and, in fact, was set up by the federal government. Again, we should all be concerned about that, regardless of party.
All of this stuff led to an impeachment in the House, right? And yet they're not stopping. In the middle of a coronavirus crisis, they nominate a committee. The House has put together a coronavirus select committee. It was all Democrats. The question was, will Republicans take part? You have now been picked to lead the Republicans on this coronavirus select committee. How are you gonna fight back against this becoming some sort of an impeachment 2.0? I mean, I wouldn't put it past them.
Well, you can see after they did the first impeachment, which was the first was going to be based on the Mueller investigation. They thought that was going to produce something, and it produced nothing. The Ukrainian call, nothing was wrong with that. In fact, the Ukraine president appreciated it. But they still went forward with impeachment anyway to appease their radical base and this personal vendetta they have against Donald Trump that the American people are tired of, and yet they haven't stopped. And so Kevin McCarthy, our leader, we all talked and decided that if they're going to go out there with this committee with subpoena power and a clear intent to try to continue harassing the president in the middle of this pandemic when we should be pulling together, then we're going to put a team on the field, too, to get the facts out there. And it's all about the facts in the end. The president's working hard every single day, showing up for work with the vice president to try to get this country back on track, get the economy back going again, so we can get people off the the rolls of the unemployment rolls again. And then you see Pelosi won't bring the House back in, continuing to try to just harass the president. We're not going to stand for it.
Good for you.
Congressman, thanks. We'll see if we see you back. You coming back this week?
Anytime. We ought to come back. We ought to be back holding China accountable and getting our economy back open.
True too.
But I got to say happy Mother's Day to the wife of my two children, Jennifer, and she's, by the way, the teacher of the year of our homeschool.
Congrats.
Undisputed. I love it. Representative, thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Y'all take care.
You got it.
All right.